Welcome to the Kindness Podcast Live. I have a niece named Kate, and we'll hear from Kate a little bit later in the show when you listen to the actual podcast version of this instead of the Facebook Live version. But my niece Kate she has some hearing loss. She is hard of hearing and has dealt with ocular implants and all kinds of different things in order to regain her hearing. Um, and I'm so impressed by Kate because she took something, this kind of degenerative hearing loss, and she made it into something um, that she could go out into the world and share with others. And for her, that meant learning American Sign Language and being able to communicate with people. And actually now she works at Walt Disney World and, can do sign language with people who are also experiencing some sort of hearing loss. So isn't that amazing? So I love people like that. And I was recently introduced to a woman who is also taking something that was very scary for her and for her family and turning it into something that's just beautiful for the kingdom of God. And Deanna Knott is with me right now. We're going to bring her in here. Hi, Deanna. How are you?
Good, and you? Good to see you.
Good to see you. Now, the one thing, it's interesting because when you interact with somebody on email, like I thought your name was Diana, right? And I had just assumed that you were some Caucasian woman from, Wisconsin, because that's where you live. And then you came on and I thought, oh my goodness, this beautiful accent. And we say your name, Deanna. So
Yeah,
where are you from originally?
I'm from Colombia. I'm from Cali, Colombia. So yeah, I'm not a white person. I'm a Hispanic person.
I love it. And
And
you are from, for the last 13 years,
correct.
from Wisconsin.
Yeah, I've
That's
been
a
living
little
in
bit of a
Wisconsin.
different, that's a bit of a temperature difference, is it?
Oh, just a little bit, right?
Right? Like everything is
But I
every,
love it. I love the change of seasons. So, like, people ask me, why did you move to Wisconsin? And my whole purpose is that when I did I came to an exchange program and I wanted to learn English and I didn't want to go other places. A lot of people spoke Spanish. Like, no, I need to be put into the middle of it to be able to learn. And that's what I did.
well, sister,
So,
you put yourself in the middle of it. Well done.
yes, I know. I learned that.
You sure learned that. Yeah, no kidding. Well, now you have a husband and you have a 5-year-old and you also have sweet little Asher. And so can you
Mhm.
tell us about Asher?
Well, first of all, when I was praying with him, we started praying for names. And one of the names that came out on a list was Asher. And it means happy and blessed. And that's who he is. He's a happy boy and he's a blessing to many, to us and to many. And that's what I kind of see representing on in a nonprofit, like the blessings and the happiness that he, through his life experience and our family, we bring to other families. So he's this happy boy, always loves to jump. So anything he finds to be able to jump from, he will do it.
Because he's
Uh,
2, right?
yeah, he just turned 2 last week.
Oh,
So he's full of energy, super smart, love playing with the brother. He wants to keep up with a 5-year-old. So
of
you
course
can
he
just imagine what happened in my house, how busy I am chasing both of them now. So yeah, he's just a happy boy. That's how I describe him. He's just a happy boy.
Well, and I know that you are in your basement and Asher is upstairs. And so if anyone hears any pounding or
Or
anything,
crying. Did you hear the crying? I just heard it.
oh no,
Okay.
maybe we'll hear dishes breaking. It could be really exciting. We'll see. So, Asher has become a blessing because of really what started as a tragedy in your life. And that was the fact that he was diagnosed with hearing loss. So you put
Mhm.
together this mission called Asher's Gift Box. And what is the mission of Asher's Gift Box?
So through Ashes Gift Box, we want to empower and support children under the age of 3 that are newly diagnosed, who are hard of hearing, and their families. We just want to bring support and power to those kiddos and their families.
That's
Mhm.
beautiful.
That's our full mission.
Did you so when you do that, you actually, though, they call it a gift box because you have something that you mail to people.
Oh yeah, I have it here if I can show you.
Yes.
So this is the box. It goes like this. You can
Cute.
see our logo. So I will pull what I put on the boxes. So we have a stuffed animals. which I do the hearing aids for the stuffed animal. So this one has, hearing aids. I also do a Baja, which is another device. And I also do the cochlear implants, which is just the little, button, looks like a button part that the kids will have. So I'll do that through in the stuffed animals because I'm trying to customize it as much as I can. I want the kids to see something that look like them, because it's, we see people with glasses and we're like, oh, fine. But when you see somebody with a hearing device, it's like, what is happening? And I want the kids to be able to see, hey, there's something that looks like you. It's okay. It's normal. It can be, it can become your normal. So I put the stuffed animal. I put this little pins for the parents. There you go.
My child has superhero ears.
And the color of the hearing aid on these items is actually similar to the hearing aid that he wears. I want to be like his stamp in there.
Yep.
So we have a t-shirt. I have one open here for the child.
Oh, that says I have superhero ears.
Because I want to empower them. I want them to do it. And I'll tell you in a little bit what the reaction of Asher when I make the first t-shirts for her family. A printed hand. This means I love you. That's a sign for I love you in American Sign Language. I put 2 different books. An ASL book, because I want, that people can have the option if they want to go through that route and use them too. And then I use books with characters that are hard of hearing because I want the kids to see something, that they can relate to. So this is one of the books I have
called Ling Ling Bird Hears with His Magic Ears.
So I have different books that I use. I have the list on my Facebook because people can donate if whatever they feel. This actually was one of the queens in one of the states that she wears her hearing aids, and she wrote this book. So
that's called When I
Wear My Crown.
My Crown, okay.
And this is the only one I have found in Spanish. So I wish I can find more. That's my goal. I'll help people translate it or something, but we need to get more books in Spanish.
Sweet. You got a writing project in front of you.
I know, somebody told me, I'm like, yeah, with a 2 and a 5, I think I'm gonna wait a little bit for that one, but I would love to. I'm not a creative person, but I know somebody in Colombia that she's like, you need to write a book, and I'm like, and you need to help me.
Yes,
she's like, okay.
There's always help around when we need it. Yes.
Yeah, and then I put some information in there, and one of the things is I wrote a letter for the parents. It's a really heartfelt letter. Really like raw. This is me. This is what I felt. It is okay for you to feel what you're feeling because it's a grieving process when you get those news. And I would love to share a little more like what happened and how it happened to us because I want the parents to know, you can this. And then, some flyers and some parenting resources also through to Family Life. That's what I put in there.
I would love it if you would share some of your why with that.
So when Asher was born and I held him in my arms, I knew something was off. Like a mom, but I just couldn't point to it. We left the hospital with resolve that he didn't pass his hearing test. And they refer us to see an audiologist. And we went to the audiologist 3 times. 2 times he had fluids in his ear, so he didn't pass the test because of the fluids. That was what they thought. The 3rd time he didn't have any fluids, but he didn't pass it. So that was scary. We didn't know what was happening at the moment. He was referred to do an ABR, which is the brain response to the sound. Then COVID hit, and we couldn't get appointments. So that was really like a waiting period, super hard because as mom, you just want to know what's happening, right? You're like, it was driving me nuts. I would just keep calling the hospital, like almost every day. Can I get an appointment now? When can I get an appointment? And finally we got it. He was 7 months old. He had to be totally sedated because he wasn't ready to beg for the test without being sedated. And that was one hard thing to see my kid attached to machines and be sedated. That was really hard. So at 7 months old, he was diagnosed with mild hearing loss. My world was just shattered. Like it was just broken. My heart was broken. I just couldn't stop crying for like 2 weeks. I just didn't know what's happening until I realized that was a grieving process. that was really hard. And I just felt like I was the only person going through this, because I had never been in contact with somebody with hearing loss. I never met somebody. And it was just like, what I'm going to do now, how I'm going to teach Josiah, my oldest, like what's happening with Asher. I don't even know the terminology for this. Like, and I'm a smart person, but I couldn't even think about buying a book. I couldn't even think about like nothing. It was just on that grieving process. It was way too hard. It was, I'm glad for some other people that like supported me and prayed for me and were there. But it was too much for me. Like, it was.
Isn't it interesting though? Like sometimes when it's too much, that's when God shows up with
Mhm.
kindness. And
Oh
you
yeah.
had that experience, right?
Oh yeah. There was Ash's gift box was born for 3 kindness, acts of kindness that happened during that horrible time. So my first one's was, we were in the middle of lockdown, and one of my neighbors and friend mailed me a book. So it was kind of like an answer. When I opened the Amazon package, I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, this is what I needed. Like, this is what I'm going to use. And this story was about a little girl with cochlear implants. That's not applied to him because he wears hearing aids, but it gave me the tools to explain to Josiah and to read. And that's at home, we call it our magic ears. So you ask Asher, where's your magic ears? And he points to it, or he points to the shirt. And he, like, we started like using that or singing the song, so he would put it on because he would rip it off when we started the process. It just like, it's a hard process. So that was the first act of kindness. And the second was a friend sent me some flowers with a note letting me know that I was not alone. Not because she doesn't have a kid with hearing loss, but she has a kid that is autistic, and she knows what's to get hard news in your kids. So for me, like, yeah, like she gets it. She gets what's to deal with something really hard in your kiddo. So that was amazing. So those 2 things like kind of like shake me off, and then like, okay, like now I need to do something to empower my kids. Like, this is gonna be a journey. This is where God has put us. So what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna support them, how I'm gonna empower my family. So I, on a Facebook group and the city in Madison, I reached out asking if somebody knew people can help me print some t-shirts. I wanted to print a t-shirt to empower my kids. And I put it out there, and they referred people, and started talking to somebody to help me. We started designing it. And all of a sudden I got a message from a stranger. Hey, I want to pay for the shirts, and I want you to print for all your family and friends you have that they're hard of hearing too. And I was like, okay, who are you? He's like, this is my references, this is this, and then I want to pay, like, I want to send you. And he sent me money, and I was like, okay. It's like, did you have more to print for the hospital? I'm like, yeah, I have enough with the money you're sending me. And he's like, and I want to give you money to take your family out for dinner because this is so hard. And I was like, I'm gonna use the money taking out for dinner to print more shirts.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, we can eat at home, like it's COVID, like, no, I use it for this. And because that was July, like August, July last year. And so I printed the t-shirts, and I look at my mom and my dad were here from Colombia because they came to visit Asher and meet him, but they got stuck because of COVID for 18 months. So my mom was kind of proud of that process. And I look at my mom like jokingly, and I say, Mom, what about if I put a box with tools that were so helpful to me that I knew I wish I knew from the beginning, and then not to like go to so much trouble to get that, so I can send it to parents. And I was like, oh, whatever, that doesn't matter. And then I kept going. So I reached out to our audiologist, like, what about if I give you a box and you can help me with donating some books from your reps and some of the animals from your reps? She's like, I love the idea, let's do it. So I made my first 12 boxes for her, because she diagnoses about 10 to 12 kids per year in her practice with their hard hearing under the age of 3. So, and then I was like, Mom, what about if I start a nonprofit? And I was like, oh, whatever. And all of a sudden, like, this man sent me a message again. He's like, are you ready to receive more financials? I'm like, no. And I was like, somebody asked me to serve in a different place. I decided not to do that because I really want to focus on this project. And he's like, well, you should open a nonprofit. And I was like, I don't even know how to do that. Let's meet. We'll do it together. And it was like so fast that I felt like God was like, this train is going fast. You jump in or you stay out. And I was like, God, if you're driving it, I'll jump in, but you better be driving it. Right?
Yes, right.
So I jump in that same week. We met with this guy, drove for like hour and a half with my husband to meet him and his fiance. He helped me fill in all the, like, he paid a third party to fill out paperwork for me, do everything. He's like, this is my gift to you. I believe in what you're doing. I believe in this. This country needs that. This world needs ideas like yours. And we opened it up, and I came home. I was crying on my way there, and my husband was like, "Why are you crying?" Like, because I just like all these things. It's like what God is doing. And he's like, well, make a decision. Like, if I don't do it, I'm going to regret it. So I'm going to trust God, and I'm going to do it. And came home with a nonprofit register, and I was like, what is happening? And like everything just went so fast.
I just feel like there's a big yay.
Yes. Yeah, it's like, okay, God, like I don't know why you picked me to do this. I have no idea, because I don't know. I'm starting this journey. I'm not like expert on nothing.
Right.
But I just don't want another parent to feel how it felt.
So that says to me, Deanna, that you're an expert in love. And that's
all you're gonna make me cry.
Well, okay, good. If I can make somebody cry, it was a good day. As long as they're happy.
Oh my gosh, no, you're gonna make me cry. Because it's just, it's very hard. And I'm doing this out of my own pain. Like a couple weeks, we did another test for Asher, and we saw some decrease in the lower tones. And we did genetic testing for him, and we know that's genetic, and supposedly it's not progressive, but we seen some changes. So that took me right back to that moment when I got the news, and I got back in that spot, Yep. And I'm so blessed for the families that I have met through this nonprofit, because they share the journey. I can share with them, and they were like, listen, this is what we're going through. Maybe you can ask them for this test, because they have different, hair loss has different, there's no one reason,
right.
There's no one type. It's so much out there. So I have learned so much through these families, and I feel so humble, so privileged that they have been able and then picked to share with me their journeys.
Mm-hmm.
Because
so what sort of reactions? I mean, other than the fact that they are coming to you, looking to you as somebody who's been there as a resource, when they get a box, have you gotten to interact with them after they've gotten a box, and so what the reaction is?
Yeah. So one of the things that people can do is check my Facebook, because I have all the testimonies too. People that let me share. But some of the things that have filled my heart and respond, like God's response to what I'm doing, they said that they feel hope. They didn't feel alone. And those are my two things. And when people repeat that to me, it's like, okay, God, you are onto something. And people have this story, like it felt like a hug. Like when they open, like, yeah, another mom was like, I couldn't stop crying when I was opening the box. And I'm like, good, that's, it's like, God, we know that's your love through this box to them. Like we pray for each box. I'm getting like the kids to help me do box. It's hard because they want to Asher see stuff the animals, and he wants to keep it. I'm like, yeah.
100%. I get that.
Yeah. So it's Josiah. Yesterday we were finishing a box that goes through Brazil, and he was like, "Can I help packing it? Can I help taping it?" He loves tape, so it's like, sure, So, but the family just was like, "Thank you." Like it's so good to know that we're not alone, and that's my whole thing. Because that's how I felt. I felt alone. I felt overwhelmed. It was so hard. So for them to tell me that, it's just amazing. It's just, how many times we doubt about what God is doing through our lives?
Yes.
And like every time that I feel like, God, like, why you pick me? Like, why? Like, I don't have even time to raise finances for this. At first, my husband and I, we own a business, and we're trying to pay through our business, but like we cannot afford to pay all these boxes through our business. It's like, God, I can. And he like shows up to people like, hey, I applied for this grant through this for you. Hey, I applied for this. And I was like, what? Hey, I would just like pick your charity to give this. And I was like, what? And I just feel like God's telling me, it's like, I'm putting arms out there that are not your arms. Like he extending my arms to other people, which like kind of like stop doubting it. I'm doing it. But I keep like, God, what I'm going to do. So it's been like God showing that he is there and doing it through other people, because I just can't do it alone. I just can't.
Nope. And he doesn't expect you to. I think it's hysterical right now. I can hear Asher upstairs,
and you can hear him cry.
Mad that his mama is downstairs, and
I cannot see her.
And I can't see her. Urgh, it makes me so mad. I love it. Okay, so we're gonna let you go in just a second, but first, I love to get I love to give people a practical kindness tip. Do you have one of those that you could share?
I do. And like I say, like I felt so alone, and God provided this verse to me, and I just want to read it and just expand a little bit. That's 2 Corinthians 1:3-5 and the message. It says, God of all healing, counsel, he comes alongside us when we go through hard times. And before you know it, he brings us alongside someone else who's going through hard times. So we can be there for that person just as God was there for us. We have plenty of hard times that come from following the Messiah, but no more so than the good times of his healing comfort. We get full measure of that too. And
What verse that is again? First Corinthians
1:3-5.
1:3-5.
It's like
Translate.
you think you're going through this alone, but God is going through you. And now all of a sudden you see people coming along you or putting you along somebody else. And my tip is like, when we think we're out alone, open up your eyes, we're not. And somebody is going through the same thing than you. Or if you have gone through something hard, just look to see where you can help, where you can provide the help. Because that's kind of like that's what God has done with us. I thought I was alone. There was other families out there that I didn't know. And now God's putting me along them to help them and to feel that comfort, to bring the comfort of God.
Deanna Knott. Wow, what a great conversation with you. I just, you get the Holy Spirit chills all over you. It's just so fantastic. And for those of you watching, please go to facebook.com, Asher's Gift Box. And so
Yes.
then you can see the testimonials. If you want to donate, you can donate, and I just appreciate, Deanna, so much your time.
No,
And
Nicole, it's my privilege. I feel like, why were you interviewing me? It's
well,
a privilege to be with you. Thank
thank you
you
for
so
saying
much.
that. Thank you. Thank you. I will I'm gonna set you to the side for 1 second. Don't leave
Okay.
me.
Yeah.
But I want to say to those of you who are watching, you all know exactly why I interviewed her, right? Like if you were listening to this, you were touched by this. And it just shows what happens when you are willing to give God your pain and ask him to use you as a vessel, and ask him to bring you alongside someone else who needs help and needs hope. And so I hope that you find those people, like Deanna said in our practical tip of the day. I hope that you look for those people, if you are hurting right now, who are also hurting, whom you can come alongside of. So thank you for joining us today on the Kindness Podcast Live. It was absolutely my pleasure to see you, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Go be kind.